Okay, in this problem, we needed to rationalize a denominator, and I love the work that you've done here. You've done a great job showing that you're going to multiply by a factor of 1. What I would say is, if I could add something here, is I would make sure you stretch that out, and then in your work show that you still have that radical, because the radical is really, really important, because the square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 36 is 6. If you go to your calculator and you say, well, what's the square root of 144? It's going to give you a value of 12. It doesn't give you plus or minus. The primary root is positive. So that's really important to understand. So this value in here, I'm going to use a different colored highlighter. This value in the original problem has to be a positive value so that you can take the square root of it, right? So to keep that positive, you can't have a positive, you can't have a negative in your numerator or a negative in your denominator. And let me explain. When we get here and we actually take the square root and you get that 1 plus the sine of x. 1 plus the sine of x has to be positive. And the square root of the cosine squared of x is cosine of x, and that has to be positive. And you might be thinking, well, they could both be negative. The thing is that they won't be both negative because of this plus 1. So no matter what the sine of x is, you're going to add 1 to it. So remember the minimum value of sine when we're talking about our values, you know. You could think about the graph of the sine of x. So when we're talking about the value of sine of x, its output is going to be as low as -1 and as high as +1. So that's the range. Those are the outputs from -1 to +1. So the lowest that this value can get is -1, and -1 plus 1 is 0. Anything higher than -1 is going to give us a positive value. So this is going to be positive or 0. It's never going to be negative. This numerator is never going to be negative. Therefore, I have to keep the cosine of x positive, hence the absolute value. So you're going to force it to be positive by telling your reader, hey, 1 plus sine of x is going to turn out to be positive, but I need the cosine of x to be positive. And that's all because the inside, the radicand, has to be positive. So the radicand has to be positive.